Hello everyone, this is Screen Recapped, and today we will be talking about a 2009 American fantasy film called Cirque du Freak, The Vampire's Assistant. Be ready for spoilers ahead. In an unnamed American town, teenagers Darren Shawn and Steve Leonard, Darren's more rebellious best friend and classmate, sneak out at night to attend the Cirque du Freak show at a local theater. During the performance, Steve recognizes one of the troupe's members, Larkin Crepsley, as a vampire who is over 100 years old, prompting him to try to find Crepsley after the show. Meanwhile, Darren is fascinated by Crepsley's spider, Madame Octa, and goes backstage, impulsively steals her, but is forced to hide when Crepsley returns to his green room. Steve arrives, begging to be made into a vampire, but Crepsley refuses after tasting Steve's blood, which he says tastes of evil. When Crepsley realizes that Madame Octa was stolen, Darren flees from the theater with Crepsley in pursuit. He escapes when the mysterious Mr. Tiny arrives in his limousine, accompanied by Merlot. The latter is unimpressed with Darren, dismissing him as a bag of blood, but Tiny promises to stay in touch after dropping Darren off at his home. The following day, Darren secretly brings Madame Octa to school, where she escapes. After a struggle in a crowded hallway, Madame Octa bites Steve on the cheek, leaving him to succumb to her deadly venom in the hospital. Darren returns to the theater and begs Crepsley for help. Initially annoyed and contemptuous, Crepsley agrees on the condition that Darren becomes a half-vampire, and Crepsley's personal assistant. Darren agrees, only to flee while Crepsley administers the antidote to Steve. However, after nearly attacking his own sister out of vampiric bloodlust, Darren decides to leave with Crepsley, who uses magic to stage Darren's death of a fall from a roof. After being buried in a cemetery, Crepsley digs up the grave to free Darren, but Merlot ambushes them. Crepsley fights him off and the two go to the Cirque du Freak campgrounds, where Darren meets Evravan, the snake boy, and Rebecca, the monkey girl. Meanwhile, Steve, contemplating suicide after losing his best friend, is stopped by Tiny, who offers him a chance to become a Vampanese, a race of vampires who, unlike Crepsley and others, murder their victims to feed on their blood. Steve agrees, proceeding to kill high school history teacher Mr. Kersey with Merlot's help. Trying to instigate a confrontation between Steve and Darren, Tiny kidnaps Rebecca and Darren's family, leaving a flyer for the Cirque du Freak at Darren's former home. At the theater, Crepsley and Merlot fight while Darren fights with Steve, but Darren's refusal to feed weakens him. Rebecca frees herself using her monkey tail and offers Darren a taste of her blood. After some hesitation, he accepts. Crepsley stabs Merlot, and with his dying words, Merlot declares that the truce between the two vampire clans has been broken. Tiny, who had been watching from the balcony via opera glasses, eventually separates Steve and Darren. Darren asks Steve to stay with him, but Steve refuses, saying, "I have my destiny and you have yours." Steve then leaves with Tiny, who plans to groom him as a Vampanese leader. Crepsley returns Darren's family to their home, hypnotizing them so they'll forget what they've been through. Rebecca and Darren share a heartfelt kiss before returning to the campgrounds, where Crepsley gives Darren a coffin to sleep in, and Darren accepts his new life as a member of the Cirque du Freak. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.